So this is Randy Andrews. He is a member of the Simple Daily Drawing Facebook private group and has been participating in drawing the prompts for quite some time, but you've actually been drawing and have a much longer streak than even the Simple Daily Drawing group has been around. So what's your drawing streak today?
I'm on number 957.
So is 1,000 going to be a milestone for you? Are you
yeah.
Looking for it? Are you going to do anything special that day?
Maybe. I've got an idea.
So Randy's joining us to just chat a little bit about how art, creativity has been influential in his life. So a little bit of background about Randy before we get started is Randy has been posting consistent drawings of robots for the Simple Daily Drawing prompts. So he's taken the prompts a lot of the days and taking the idea for the prompt and translated that into a robot scene, just line art with robots doing all sorts of fun stuff. The people of the Simple Daily Drawing group literally know you as the guy drawing robots, the robot guy.
Well, childhood, I was always a drawing person. Like I always would draw little drawings and little cartoony figures. And I mean, one of the things that I did was enter a drawing of Superman when I was 7.
Oh, wow.
And I won second place. When I would get bored, I'd draw on the side of pages.
Okay. So you were one of those kids with doodles next to all your tests. Like,
oh, yeah. Yep.
Me too.
Because I'd get bored and I was like, well, I'm just going to draw because I'm done. In high school, I took 3 years of art and I had the same teacher all 3 years.
Oh, that's so really helpful.
That was really awesome. And she was very supportive. In fact, she's still teaching art at the high school where I grew up. And I connected with her recently and we talked for a few minutes and it was just a really good experience to show. She's like, keep drawing, keep doing your work. And
isn't that crazy how our art teachers in our youth are so influential in how we remember like how much almost emotion we have tied towards the artistic process or how much we care about it. I was on Facebook the other day and I posted something about the Simple Daily Drawing, and one of my childhood friends, one of my friends who I've been friends with since kindergarten, she said, she made a comment and she said, I knew you'd always do something in art or art related because I remember Mrs. Chenoweth and I can't remember the other lady's name. And she said, I remember them saying, you'll always do art. And I remember how much we loved those teachers. And I feel that our art teachers in our youth are very influential in how we perceive art even as adults. And I recall very fond memories. When I created art in school, it was the best class, it was the best time. And I just recall it was very, I don't know, satisfying or comfortable.
It was very,
for me.
Yeah, it was a very enjoyable experience.
Yeah.
I was always at home in my art class. And
That's
that was kind of second home. It was like a second home where any other class that I had during the day, if I was having a bad day, I could go into art class and be like, I'm not really feeling the project for today, whether it be clay or whatever. I hate clay. I hate working with clay. It's like, so, I mean, I did it, but it was like class assignment. And once that was done, it's like, can I just draw?
Yeah.
And my art teacher, she really encouraged me to just keep drawing and keep working on my art. And
did you ever find a love of clay or
no?
So I have 3 daughters, and 2 of my daughters actually are in digital communication and design. And they thought that they were going to go to college and they were going to learn digital like Adobe Photoshop, but they start with the fine art classes. And one of my daughters was just terrified. I can't draw. I'm terrible. I'm blah, blah, blah. And she's just minutes ago sent me her still life drawing from today's class. And she was like, I can do this. Like, I didn't need much help. My professor told me I did a good job. And I think that she just had never been told, you know what, apply yourself and you can do this. And you might actually be good at it if you try. And now she has this confidence that she never had before and she loves it. So I feel like sometimes when kids aren't encouraged or don't have the teacher or the family that maybe supports them in doing the art and saying, you're really good at this, then all of life, they grew up thinking art's not for me. Have you turned to art at any like certain times of your life just to get out of your head? Or
Yeah.
tell me about that. I'm really interested in hearing about the mental health aspect of applying art for therapy, because so in our group, you probably know this, you have to answer member questions before we allow anyone to enter the group. And one of those questions is, why are you using art? And there's 4 options. And by far, at least half of the members say, as for mental health or art therapy or mental health. And so for me, I thought everyone would say to improve my skills, but it turns out that that's not even high on the list. So tell me about your experience with that.
Well, one of the key areas that always has been influential for me, once I got like my own car and stuff, I would travel to a local comic book store on Saturdays, and they would have this thing called Art Jam, and you could go there and just be yourself and draw or do whatever creative thing you're doing at that time.
Did you find that felt like a comfortable place and escape?
It was very comfortable. And then like throughout the years, I've went to like one of my local comic book stores, and they had like tables. And so you could go over to the coffee side and sit down at a table, have your work spread out, and you could draw. And then you'd see other artists there. Or there's a local artist that lives in Omaha. He always was usually there working on like a comic art project that he was working on, or a book that he was working on, and he'd see my art and he's like, yeah, you need to keep going on that. And he's always been one of those people that can encourage others without having to say too much. And that really encouraged me, and sometimes that's all I needed.
And I think that art communities sort of have a reputation for being judgmental, critical of other artists. And I mean, I personally, until Simple Daily Drawing, was never a part of an art community, because I am not an artist. I mean, by trade, I do digital design, but I never considered myself a drawer. But also, one thing that's been kind of crazy is the amount of people that have said this group is so encouraging, because I didn't realize that artists out there were known as being critical or judgmental. So the fact that you see an artist that maybe even you look up to, that looks at your work and says, hey, that's cool, keep working on that. I bet that was huge encouragement for you.
Oh yeah, inspiration. Well, sometimes it's through the simplest means, and sometimes it's just a word. Like I can take like there was a prompt. I think it was either November or December. It was extinct or something like that. Something regarding extinct, and or something no longer living. So
Dead.
I was like, yeah. and I was like, well, the first thing that pops into my mind is a pop culture reference, and that's Jurassic Park. A lot of times I will have movie references in my head for things that I want to draw, because I love science fiction, and I love that whole like idea of science fiction. I love sci-fi art, and seeing these like 1970s art pieces that are really cool, and like, to me, they're just fantastic. And some people are like, oh, that's just a book cover. And it's like, but that's amazing art.
So
But like,
you're actually visualizing. You see
yeah,
your
yeah,
ideas when you see a word that says
like
uh
extinct. I can
ex-
see it as like, oh, you know what? I think I'll draw a dinosaur, like a dinosaur
and then
skeleton.
that turns
And these
into
robots
what.
are going to be working on that dinosaur skeleton.
So generally you don't reference other art and for your
Not usually. I
creations.
try not to. Sometimes it'll just inspire me. Like there was one that was tick. Like you just had the prompt tick.
Mhm.
Well, I was like, I don't want to draw a clock.
Yeah.
So I didn't. I drew TikTok from Return to Oz. I
So
drew the
yeah.
actual robotic character from
And
Return to
did you
Oz, and I
draw
had a
that from
reference.
your imagination or did you use a
No,
reference?
I used a reference, but the reference is like this big, and my drawing's like this big. So it was all me.
And it's so that's what I was talking with someone just earlier today, and we were talking about this idea of being a creative person. And I said, "Are you a creative person?" And she said, "I have a hard time answering that because I'm a copy artist." And I was
Hmm.
like, "What does that mean?" And she's like, "I can't draw anything from my imagination. I have to use a reference photo." But I'm like, "But you're still interpreting it and drawing it." And she's very, very good artist. She teaches art. And she said, "But I don't consider myself creative." And I find that interesting, whether or not you consider yourself as a creative person based on whether or not you're using a reference photo to draw your piece, because I consider you very creative, even if you can get it on paper in
Well, like,
any
here's an
way, shape, or
example.
form.
Here is Big Ben, and I've already started working on robots,
So when
and
you do the
it's going to be
robots,
like a gear.
you draw the piece first that the robots are working on.
Sometimes it depends. It depends on my mood or what I want the robot doing, because sometimes it's better to draw that robot doing something first and then build from there.
So
And that's how I
we
do
got
it.
to know what started the robot phase.
Oh, so I did this course through Domestika, and the instructor was Matthias Adolfsson.
Okay.
Very intricate artist. He's got a very unique style. He does a lot of line art. So he was doing this course of having us do certain exercises, like try to draw like yourself or your own type of character as like doing it at emojis, like do emojis for yourself, like draw yourself and doing these emojis. And then you would do that, and you do like isometric drawings, and you do like perspective, and just some basics,
Mhm.
to draw. And some of it was so intricate and so unique. And I started to formulate in my head some ideas to do more. And so one of the projects was fill a page. Well, when I filled a page, it was half of it was like fantasy and half of it was sci-fi. When I was doing the sci-fi section of the page, I had like so many like science fiction robots from pop culture references. And then I do my own robots and make up robots and do all these, like, it filled the page. I'll show it again on my Instagram page.
Yeah, you'll have to send it to me so I can pop it up
Yeah,
here.
because it's a very amazing piece. I have a caricature of me in there, and then there's this guy hanging upside down, and it's just like I just I kept going and going and going, and I was like, I can totally do more of these things. And so I started experimenting and like I doodled at work. And then I did this robot.
Oh, you have it on your shirt?
Yep.
That's awesome.
And he was
Did
just,
you
he's
actually
just
draw
like,
it on the shirt, or did you have that printed?
no, I put it through TeePublic.
Okay.
And so
That's awesome.
I've actually got like 12 other robots that are digital and that people can buy as t-shirts and whatnot in my
So
TeePublic page.
Yeah, shout out to TeePublic. Do you
Yeah.
have a store there, or do you have
Yeah.
what's the name of that?
Soundtrack Alley.
Soundtrack Alley. Okay.
Yeah. I had went 5 or 6 years, no drawing whatsoever. And it was really, really hard because it's like, why am I not drawing?
Mhm.
And so it took me a while to get out of that slump. I was just like searching for prompts, like things, because my mind just kept going. I wanted to do more prompts. I wanted to do things that would inspire me, things that would keep me going, keep me drawing, because I didn't want to go into a slump again.
When did we interact with your life? Like, when did that intersect?
Probably in October.
Okay.
Probably in October, because
Did you
I
do
I
Inktober?
was doing Inktober at the time. And then I would
Okay.
see these drawings that were Inktober, but also this other group. And I was like, that's very interesting. So I went to your group. I was like, oh, they have prompts. They have prompts for November already. And so I downloaded all those prompts and started doing them.
Whew, the people on Simple Daily Drawing every day, I'm like, I need to draw that. I need to buy that art supply. Oh my gosh, how'd she do that? How do you do that? It's just like, oh my gosh, this is bad news for my budget.
One of the things that I really appreciate is my tools. I usually use like the Micron.
I wanted to
pens.
ask you about what your favorite tools are. So the Micron pens.
The Micron pens, and then I recently got introduced to another pen. It's a Pentel, but it's a ink pen, but it has cartridges.
Oh, really?
So
oh, see, here goes my budget.
It's a pen, but you can unscrew this part, and
Okay.
I probably have it on too tight. But there's a cartridge that goes inside, and usually you can buy 2 cartridges for $5.
Okay. Do you have, I'm curious, do you have any prompt suggestions? I know that you haven't seen we've been running prompts for over like 500 and some days, and you've been a part of Simple Daily Drawing since October. So you haven't seen all the prompts, but I'm curious, do you have any suggestions on
rocket
prompts?
ship?
What was that?
Rocket ship.
A rocket ship. I'm jotting it down.
Yep.
I don't think we've ever done rocket ship. I know we've done like space shuttle and some others. Can you leave us with any favorite art? Do you have any quotes or sayings or words of encouragement that you rely on?
I actually do. One of the people that always has inspired me to do art, even though I've never met him, but I'm always inspired by what he does, is J. Scott Campbell. He's a comic artist, he's a cover artist now.
Okay.
He used to do interior cover art or interior art. But he had said in an interview, I think having a clear vision of what I want to do and drive to do it is what makes the difference in drawing. And
I think having a clear view of the vision.
Having a clear vision of what you want to do. And it's very important. And the drive to do it makes all the difference in the world. And for me, it's to have that drive. It's so important. It can make people smile. It can bring, even if they're having a horrible day, they can look and see what they've created or what someone else has created and be like, wow, that was great. That actually cheered me up a lot.
I am so thankful for you just taking time out of your evening and chatting with me about this. And I mean, maybe we can circle back around and do another chat. And, I definitely maybe after you hit that 1,000 drawing streak milestone, we got to chat
Another
about,
couple of months.
we got to chat about the importance of streaks. Because consistency, and I'm a huge advocate of habit tracking, and I feel that it changes lives. And so maybe we can talk on that subject after you hit that 1,000 streak milestone.
Absolutely. I don't know like how I got so hooked on it, but I was like, I gotta keep going. And I love these books.
Oh yeah.
Sketchbooks are so awesome. Usually on lunch, like here's one.
Oh my gosh.
The sleeping flower. But if you notice, this robot is pouring sleeping powder onto the plant.
And the flower sleeping. My goal of using the sketch pads is to make sure that I disconnect every day. And so it's triggering me to want to draw more and to want to draw better. But the sketch pad and prompt purpose is just to sit down and disconnect. And so I never spend more than 10 or 15 minutes drawing. Nice. Unless it's a Saturday and I'm watching a television show that I'm not really watching, the same thing. But
it's actually part of my therapy. Like just having it as a mental release in a way, like nothing else has to be done.
So if someone wants to check out your robot artwork, they can of course join the Simple Daily Drawing group. We hope you're around indefinitely, forever and ever. But if they want to find your robot artwork, where would they go to check it out?
They can go to my Instagram, which is at Frumpy Sketch, FRUMPY.
Frumpy Sketch.
Yep, Frumpy Sketch.
Is there a reason behind that? I gotta.
My art's kind of frumpy, kind of off kilter. I don't know if you saw my Saturn yet, but to me it was a little off.
Oh, that's cool. No, I haven't seen that. I love the robot. It's not quite in focus, but the robot. Yeah, there we go. The robot astronaut floating.
Yep.
there's always a bit of character and joy and almost humor in your robot drawings. I really like that. I think you're right. Even if you're having a bad day and you don't feel like drawing, I can almost guarantee if you sit down to draw something, you'll be happier on the other side of that.
Oh yeah.
As long as you're not so concerned with being perfect or the outcome of the drawing, that act of drawing will make you happier.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah, exactly.
So
can I pitch something else?
Absolutely.
Okay. Because I have a Facebook page too. It's also Frumpy Sketch.
Frumpy Sketch Facebook.
But mainly I go to Instagram and it posts, to Facebook and wherever. So another thing that I do is podcasts. And I podcast about soundtracks and the films that have a special place in my heart. So my podcast is Soundtrack Alley.
Soundtrack Alley.
Yep.
And is on iTunes?
It's on iTunes. It's on any podcasting app you can find. It's on Spotify. Anyway, it's soundtrackalley.com. And so I try to post every week there. A new episode or an older episode that I had in the works. And then I have 2 podcasts that I do over on Cinematic Sound Radio.
Wow, you're busy.
Yeah. Well, I'm
Cinematic
busy
Sound
right
Radio.
Now. Yeah, Cinematic Sound Radio. I do Soundtrack Alley over there as well with some newer episodes. And then also I do one called Anime Spectacular. Which is about, I try to do maybe about 4 animes per show, but it's all like regarding the music.
Thank you for taking time to chat with me about your art story. I really,
You're
really
very welcome.
appreciate it. And we will circle back around when you hit that 1,000 streak point.
Sounds good. Thank
All
you so
right.
much.
Yep. Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye.